Good afternoon, Facebook. I am at the Madison County Government Building, and this is the election board meeting. Election board meets at their own agenda, their own time, um, and it's at 2 o'clock today. I saw it on the bulletin board the other day when I was up here, so it was the only way I would have known. But it should be starting in about 4 minutes. Hi. There's a couple people here. Um, um, oh, here the agenda is on the page uh, above the video. These are the things that will be discussed today. The election board does not have a regularly scheduled meeting. They only meet as needed, usually before the elections and after, unless somebody has complaints or concerns. So we have to really watch out for the meetings. So the meetings will start. We were able to get a agenda today, but I was trying to see if we could pick one up before the meeting. So we have about 3 more minutes before the election board, Madison County Election Board meeting. They will be adding a new person to the board. Um, I believe it's this young lady here that you see on the screen now. I forget her name because they don't have her name on the agenda. And this is a public meeting, so hopefully you will be a little bit more informed on what's going on. We have about 2 more minutes before the meeting starts. I'm at the Madison County Election Board meeting. And these are the 3 members on it. It's usually the clerk, whoever the Madison County clerk is, and the Democratic Party chair gets to pick a person, and the Republican Party chair gets to pick a person. So Tim Lannon is the Democratic representative, and like I said, I don't know the lady's name on the end, but I'm sure they'll announce her name. I forgot her name, but she's the Republican chair. I guess she is one replacing Russ Willis. And the meeting should start in 1 minute. Have attorneys here. Got 2 attorneys here. What they need to back up or what? Ken is here. There's truly Catherine is here. So like I said, this is the Madison County Election Board. They meet as needed. I just happened to see the on the bulletin board that they were having a meeting. So
I'm going to call the meeting of the Madison County Election Board for April 17, 2025 to order at this time. I would note that all 3 members of the board are here, so we certainly have a quorum. And I do want to welcome Michelle Daniels, who is a newly appointed member of the board. So, all right, our first item of business is approval of the minutes of January 15th, 2025. I know those were heavily distributed to the members prior to the meeting, and if you have an opportunity to review those, either comments that you might have, or take a motion one way or the other.
Prepared them, but I can make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, and, Sharon, you, I can't remember that. Okay, I'll make the second. Yes, we have this. All those in favor of the motion to approve, let us signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, the minutes are approved. All right, the next item of business for us is the acknowledgement of delinquent campaign reports from June 29th, 2023. And this is for discussion and I guess possible action at this time. And, anybody wants to start the discussion? That's your own.
If I may, in your packet, you received the list of the committees that was prepared for us by Heather. And I can just do a brief overview. On June 29th, 2023, the CEB met and determined the fines for all delinquent committees from 2022 annual campaign finance reports. On or about February 12th, 2025, county chairman sent letters to those committees regarding their penalty assessment. Again, you can take a look at that to know what those are. To date, all the committees have cured their delinquent reporting status and have disbanded their committee as well. And I am prepared to make a recommendation to the board.
All right, and that was previously distributed, I think, with some materials to each of the members highlighted. And if I just make sure I understand what you're saying, that each of the candidates in the committees who were notified that there was some vacancy in regards to their report, it turned out that for almost all of them, they had disbanded their committees, is that right? So therefore, there was not really a report that they needed to make, or they took the action to disband?
And they took the action to disband their committees.
And I think there was one committee which, brought their committee is still open, but they brought their report up to date, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, very good. So do you have a recommendation you'd like to make to the board then as to this matter?
Yes, my recommendation to the board is that due to the cured status of each committee in question, that the CB would consider that all penalty payments be waived and no further action on these committees will be taken.
All right, is there a second to that? Any further discussion about this matter? I think the idea is let's go forward. These committees have got their reports up to date. Most of them by just simply disbanding their committees because they're no longer candidates and they apparently don't have no further desire to do that. And that would waive any penalties that they have previously been taught to do that. All right, and if there's no further discussion on this matter, all those in favor of the motion signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion has carried.
Mr. Manning, can you speak into your mic more?
I will. Absolutely. All right, next item of business, that was underneath old business. Moving on to new business, we have acknowledgement of the 2024 annual delinquent campaign finance reports, current status and discussion.
Yes. Regarding the 2024 annual campaign finance reports, to date, all but 4 committees have cured their delinquency reporting status. And you can take a look at the list that's in your packet. It's like this.
Alright. This is the document that's entitled Open Committees Found to be Delinquent as of 1/15/25, is that right?
That is correct.
If you explain that a little bit, just let me know.
This, the document that you have before you is the one that was posted outside the election room as required by law. And
Linda,
all
can you
of
speak in your
these-
microphone?
Sure. All of these committees were delinquent at the time, they missed the filing date of, I believe, January the 15th. And so there's a list of the candidate name, and there's also a list of the committee name that coincides with those. Down at the bottom, you're gonna see an asterisk, and that means that committees have since filed their reports and they are in a cured status.
Those are the ones which have a start by faith. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
Now, what about the ones that don't have the straight faith?
There are 4 now that have not cured their status from being delinquent.
All right, and is there a suggestion as to that? Seems to me we ought at least require them to appear and explain the board what the situation is.
On the 4, okay, so I would recommend that the board waive both the notice of hearing and the penalties for all committees who have put forth the effort as of today to cure their delinquency status. For the 4 outstanding committees who have yet to bring their committee into compliance, I would recommend that the board set them for hearing for May 15th, 2025.
Can we hear the list?
The list of, if you have a comment, please come to the.
Oh, okay. I want to.
Catherine Callahan lapel. Just a lot of the viewers are asking because they can't make it to the courthouse if we could hear the list of the people that are delinquent. So maybe we can learn from in the future when other people run that they know what to do.
I have no problem with that. Go ahead and read the list of those that are still yet delinquent.
I have John Bell, Ricky Payne, John Poor, and Donita Thompson.
And technically, of course, it's their committees that are delinquent, is that right? So in each case, it was the committee for that person, which is doing. All right, anything else to add? Hey, was that a motion that you made?
That is the motion that I would recommend that the board waive both the hearing and the penalties for all the committees who have brought their status into a cured status.
Instead of hearing for the ones that have not, for next month, is
The
that correct?
4 outstanding committees who have yet to bring their committee into compliance, I would ask the board to set them for hearing for May 15th, 2025.
Is there a second to that motion? Is there any further discussion for the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign, nay. I vote aye. Right, the motion passes. All right, very good. The next item of business before the board is the establishment of an election complaint process. And this is for discussion today, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
But I think if I could sort of maybe preface this, we'd like to have some uniformity or some policies as to how complaints are to be brought before the board and then to be handled by the board, which I think will be helpful both in terms of how the board proceeds, but also in terms of the public knowing what's the process as far as bringing a complaint before the board. So in that regard, I know that we have, well, I'll let you, Linda, if you have any further comment on that, or Michelle.
The only thing that I can tell you is that I reached out to another county, Allen County to be specific, and I asked them about their complaint process and protocols. And so they sent me some information both on their complaint process and then how they handle the campaign finance reports as well. So at this time, we have prepared the complaint protocol that you have in front of you, and then also the election complaint form that is two-sided.
Okay.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, so, just so that, I think, okay, there we go. Right. This is just a draft, obviously, but let me just go over this, so that the public does know what we're looking at here. The protocols that is being considered, and that's only what we're doing, is considering this. I think it would be good for us to allow the public to have an opportunity to look at this, if they have suggestions, make their own suggestions to the board. And so far, what we've developed, or what we're looking at is as follows. Upon receipt of any formal complaint, the election deputy clerk will, effective with any complaints filed upon adoption of this complaint protocol, the board will not review complaints unless they meet the following requirements. 1, must complete in writing on an approved election complaint form, which we will talk about a little bit later. 2, must be properly executed, and 3, must complete the affirmation statement. There's a statement on the complaint form saying that the person affirms that the complaint allegations are true. Notification, within 48 hours of the complaint, weekends and holidays excluded, the complaint will notify all board members via email of the complaint and attach a copy of the complaint, including information or election law that will assist the board in decisions. 2, will notify any parties involved in the complaint, send correspondence to the complainant and to the subject of the complaint and a copy of the complaint. Unless an immediate decision is made regarding the complaint, the correspondence will advise the parties that the board will take said complaint under consideration. Also, the board will advise the parties if any further action is taken, including the date, time, and place for a hearing, if the board determines a hearing is necessary. Now, after that has been sent out to the board members, the board response is proposed to be as follows. Within 48 hours of notification, the board will respond individually to the notification. Each board member can make the following recommendations. If they're not making a response, or if any board member does not respond within 48 hours, the election deputy clerk will assume that no response is their recommendation. 2, if no board member responds within 48 hours, the election deputy clerk will follow up on the complaint on their own initiative. Each board member could also ask that respond by letter or email. Not to have that explained to me, but, I guess that the recommendation may be that there is a response by letter or email to the person making the complaint. The third possibility is that there should be an investigation of the complaint. And then the fourth is the scheduling of a formal hearing. If the election deputy clerk receives a response from any member, they will follow up with advisories to the rest of the board, either through email or telephone. If they receive responses that are different, they will schedule a meeting for the board to discuss. So again, this is a draft. This will be circulated so people can have comments, and then we'll take up further consideration at our next meeting. Now, I think we also have a draft of what that complaint form will look like. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's a 2-sided complaint. I'm not gonna read this, it wouldn't make no sense. But this will be posted as well, so you can see that. I guess my only thought on this would be that we're not going to restrict people only to this form. I suppose if they have additional information they want to submit, that would be appropriate as well. Correct?
That is correct. Mainly, these areas, although they seem small, are, they can just do a brief summary and then they're welcome to make attachments.
If they have documents they want to
Yes.
submit or what have you. So,
Correct.
okay, any other discussion by the board at this time? I see we have a comment.
So a couple questions and concerns. So when will the public be able to give you feedback on this, and how will we be able to do that? 2, not everybody looks at emails, and so it's election thing, so maybe certified mail. I certainly got a certified response from the state when I filed a complaint with the state. So I would like to know that. 3, I wonder why we're just copying another county and we're not actually looking at Indiana code and developing our own plan here in Madison County, because each place is individualized. And also, will we be able to fill that form out electronically and submit it electronically so we have a timestamp on it so people don't always have to come up here and do that? Those kind of things. But I didn't know if you were going to have an open forum where we could give feedback and kind of have some dialogue amongst ourselves. Just some questions.
Those are good questions. My thought is that we do post this on our website, is that correct?
Correct.
And along with posting that, we should, as suggested, have a way by which we can receive the suggestions. And I don't know if I can do that on the website.
They can do that by email.
Okay, very good.
As far as a template, electronically, that they can file it, we can certainly look into that
Okay.
too.
Very good. So my thought is we get this out to the public now via our website. We solicit suggestions from the public over the next month, and then next month we'll come back and have a further discussion about this. The idea is, let's get some protocols put in place, some policy. Okay, is there any other discussion on that? All right, I think I lost my agenda. I think we're at the point where we're ready for the HAVA grant presentations, is that correct? And this pertains to our electronic poll books, and I know we have at least one vendor who's here now, ready to proceed. So we come to the.
Sure.
Podium, please state your name, who you represent.
Yeah, my name is Steve Shamo. I work for Microvote Corporation out of Indianapolis. We are the provider and source of the Knowing electronic poll book in the state of Indiana. We've been the vendor for the county now for 5 years, I believe, right in that range, and have done multiple elections so far on the electronic poll book. I personally have managed out all the poll book classes until Linda took overcharge on that and started doing it within house, which has been great. The pad itself, none of the features and dynamics of the pad I'm going to present today have changed in terms of the operation for the poll workers. The only thing this is a hardware upgrade of the physical stand itself, which we believe leads to a little bit better connectivity amongst the ES&S express print pad, because the previous pad required a constantly turning and twisting of the pad for the voters to sign in, and this is more the flip stand, so we believe that and the more advanced cabling will improve the performance of that printer. The other thing is that we're moving towards a higher generation of iPad. So this would be presenting here the Generation 10 pad. In the future will be the Generation 11 pad, which should be on the market and certified in the state very soon. With that, I'll touch on something real quickly. The tariff situation has created quite a dynamic in terms of presenting and selling to county government. So the current situation for the tariffs regarding the hardware that I'm showing today is that the prices that have been presented are pretty much good for 30 days from this point forward to guarantee, because of the reprieve on electronics on the tariffs at this point in time. What makes it tricky on our end is that because you're a government entity, Knowing cannot inventory iPads. They have to basically order specifically a certain amount for a specific jurisdiction to remain tax exempt and be able to allow for the certain allowances that Apple gives to Knowing to be able to prevent updates in an untimely time, like getting an iOS update a week before an election, these sort of things. So they have to be filed through the Apple Business Manager. And so, anyway, long story short, this is basically a hardware update. Most of the procedures remain the same. The setup for the poll workers will be dramatically improved because the whole unit pulls out of the kit in one piece at this time. So the only cable that needs to be hooked up would be the cable that extends off to the Express Vote printer, which prints the header on the ballot cards. Okay. The other thing about the hardware upgrade is that by moving to a higher generation pad, it will accommodate any new legislative changes that would take place for a very long period of time. What happens sometimes, the state will make a legislative change, which would there require the application to be upgraded. And then that creates kind of the windfall effect of, okay, well, this is a new application and Apple won't let us present it on a Generation 6 pad. You're higher than Generation 6 at this time, but at the same time, other counties wouldn't be. So this is a point to establish the pad for another decade, extending out. Should be good for a good 2.5 election cycles moving forward. That's been kind of the case. Apple's been really good about letting us extend beyond what they would deem an allowance to put an application on. So for instance, most pads that are out there, 10 to 12 years existence. The rest of the peripherals don't need to be improved at that point, just the pad. But at this point in time, the county wanted to look at whatever the latest, greatest thing was in terms of the stand itself. So any questions on that? That's why I can jump right in to demonstrate it.
I guess the only question I have, you mentioned this will eliminate the swivel that has to occur.
Yeah.
Are you going to demonstrate
Yep.
how that
Yep.
is?
So basically, everything performs exactly the same way. So I'm going to put you in the position of the poll worker at this point in time. You see the
Can-
screen hasn't changed. None of the applications changed at all.
Can we
The
see?
driver's license has a little bit different.
Can we see? I want to be able.
We're
Yeah.
the ones using it, so it's important.
The ID tray is a little bit improved in the sense that the previous ID tray, if you remember, it was difficult for the poll workers to understand how to get that inserted onto the device. This just simply drops on. It also allows for an easier scanning of the smaller barcode. Indiana has 3 distinct barcodes that on their driver's licenses. This is the newest one. It fits right in. It has a secured spot to hit that. They hit scan barcode, and it takes it directly to my name. Okay. Let's see if I can submit here. So we can see. Okay. So nothing has changed in terms of the application. The same sort of prompts and cues exist. In this case, it's asking me is my address changed or unchanged. We go through a whole dialogue with the poll workers on how to ask that question to make certain that if an address has changed, we get that documented. I'm going to say address unchanged. This is my confirmation screen. It remains the same. It is a screen that basically just has my personal information on it and registration. I hit accept. At this point, you would see one of 2 screens. If it was a primary, you would have the screen that you would choose Republican or Democrat in that situation. This is set up for general election, so it goes directly to my signature. Well, in this case, you're the poll worker, and I'm the voter. I just simply flip this back that way, and now it has inverted the screen
Oh, I see.
for the signature, which is, in my mind, a dramatic improvement for 2 reasons. One, you're not spinning it, but the other is this is a more natural signature position than the old one was, because it's at, and so we don't have to.
Demonstrate that one more time.
Sure. Yep. So there it is,
Okay,
and this is signature for me, and it flips over.
so just the amount of voters out here.
Yep.
Voters here, let's do that.
Yes. Yeah, and some of the earlier this feature's always been there on iPads. It's just that in the previous generations, it just simply didn't work as well. You would find yourself kind of like a etch a sketch, where you almost be like moving it to get it to do it. But I played with this quite a bit before I took it out in the field to make certain that feature is reliable every single time you do it. So at this point, I flip it back to the poll worker. They verify the signature by hitting done signing. In that little box where you see the refresh, you would actually see the historical signature when the voter registered. And I hit submit. Now, in your case, we would have 2 things going on. We would have your Express Vote printer hooked up. We would print the ballot header, but it would still print this receipt.
Yeah.
That would allow the voter to go forward.
And
And
the
then you
reason for that, Steve, just so everybody is clear on because we have a knowing poll pad and then we have the Express Vote printer. So there has to be a go-between or.
Yes, so there's a harness that goes into this port here, and then this port plugs into the bottom. And the reason why the county has to get new cabling is because the new generations of iPads, they no longer have that lightning port connector that has the little electronic conduits on there, or connectors. This actually is the USB-C, mini C, which is just much more reliable and stays set in that device much more. And so on the old pad, that lightning port, you know how when you're charging your phone and sometimes it blinks off and on a little bit, that lightning port just never was a great physical design. So that's quite an improvement on that too. Yeah. And so I think that's the dramatic hardware improvement on this. So go from there. But the upside is if you stay with this, within this vein, within the knowing, the training itself, I think becomes even simpler because we don't have to show the physical setup of it anymore, or as much of it as we did before. In the physical operation remains the same.
Is that all one unit there, or is that?
This is all one.
Screen
Yes. Yeah. And it just drops into this box. Complete. Which I'll show you here when we're all. Any questions on that?
So the estimate that we received or the quote that we received tonight, can you tell us what you said as of today, correct, is a certain amount?
Yeah.
And you can guarantee that, and what is that amount?
That's the. The 94,707. And it's
How many does that buy?
76. It's actually a few additional compared to what we have.
So, and then in order for us to know exactly what we're dealing with, that is the cost of the poll pad, right? The poll pad and your setup right now.
Yes.
And then there's license, maintenance fees and all of that. I'm just looking at the quote here, and this is gonna be in order for us to use these at our next election, how much money is required?
The requirement would be, the ongoing for this past year, the purchase price of this. The purchase price includes next year's services.
Okay,
And then the 18,910, that would be 2027.
10 would start in 2027.
2027, and then, so it's basically specking things out for 2 years after the initial year.
Okay, so this includes that, because I got that bill for like 14,000. And
Yeah.
is that in addition to, or that's included here?
That would be in addition to. So what that is, see, that was the confusion that was created by the last state grant. The last state grant, what they did was they bought equipment for the county. And then they also paid the first 2 years of services and support associated with that. So that expired at the end of last year. And so then the licensing that would continue the product through would be that other quarter.
So right now, Tim is asking right now, so it would be the 94,770.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, to be able to use these pads for the next election, we would have to add on the 14,000 that is due.
Yes, because the 14 is technically for this year. So if you didn't stay with this, we would make it appear as if you never were with it for the year.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this, which is a total quote of 113,680. But you're saying that in addition to that, there would be 14,000, which is already accrued up to.
Which is this year's licensing from the carryover from last year, yes. But for the initial purchase price, it's the 94,770, and then the subsequent annual maintenances begin then the year after.
A year after.
You have, which will be 2027 and then 2027. That way, and that's pretty much industry on electronic poll books. That's kind of the professional maintenance on any model out there.
Any questions, other questions from the board members?
I have a question.
We have questions. Please go to the podium. Did you have a question?
So looking forward, as they're making some changes, will this accept passports and college IDs? I mean, we just need it, because if they walk into something and then we get a change, we have to be looking at the future.
It's actually the opposite of that. So I just read this morning that Governor Braun signed a bill that bans student IDs to be scanned on these.
Yeah, but he's not president.
Well, these are state laws, not federal laws. So it is, in this situation, he is the president because he's going to be the governing force within the state. We cannot scan passports because they're federal IDs. They're federal IDs, and same with military IDs. They don't scan because they're federally issued. That's as the laws are written right now.
I'm gonna defer to you. I'm just asking the question, I'll let you take it from here.
Now, we may need to discuss that, because I was thinking we did accept other IDs.
You accept other IDs, but you would do a manual entry.
Okay,
and
so there's
type
a
in
way
the
to
name.
do that.
Yes, so,
But that leaves room for, the whole purpose of doing this is to get away from manual error.
oh, I agree 100%. I would say probably 90% plus are scanned Indiana issued driver's licenses.
Sure.
But these are, again, elections are within each state jurisdiction and the current state
And
law.
there's no election in 10%.
Well, I can't change the
Yeah,
law.
yeah,
I'm just telling you that the.
It's my concern,
Yes.
that you're gonna spend all this money, and we wanna make sure that we have all the access needed for the people.
Is there some way that can be programmed to accept these alternate IDs?
If the law changes, then yeah, the pad basically identifies different QR codes. That it's not so much of this being able to read it, it's the information that's on the barcode itself on that ID.
Huh.
Okay,
But
So
you're saying
that's-
There's a manual override, yes, for acceptable IDs that I believe is accepted by witness.
Yeah, an iPad can scan any QR code or any
So then
barcode, it's
let-
just a matter of whether the software.
If we manually put the person in there, are we able to take a picture to make sure that ID goes with that manual input? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a receipt. So like, when you're scanning my driver's license, you're getting my driver's license. So how are you going to?
It's not taking any kind of a photograph, it's just reading the barcode and then taking it to
And
the
it's gonna match the
corresponding
data, right?
file.
But what do we do with the other IDs? How do we match those up? If somebody argues and says, that wasn't my ID that pushed through manually. So somebody used somebody else's ID, brought it in, they kind of look like each other, but they've aged. I'm just saying, the manual push could leave room for error. So, and then the other thing is are we saying that the old equipment, we can't salvage any of it and bring it over as the iPads will trade over, that we have to go with all new material? And then one last question is, that receipt that you print off, will that be going to the person who's checking in to vote, or will that be staying with the people? Because in Delaware County, they give that to the people that voted as a receipt.
I believe poll workers keep that.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure, because different counties do things differently. I know over in Delaware County, they give that receipt. So,
No, they have this, they have the knowing code. The
But
separate-
their election equipment is the DRE, so it's
Yes.
just a little different setup than what we have.
and so we have no way to really show that we went to the polls and actually voted. We don't have a
You
receipt.
get your little sticker that says on those.
Well,
No,
I can
that's
buy
not
those
funny.
on Amazon, so,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm just saying, so, okay.
You just answered my
Please
question.
identify yourself.
Rebecca Kroon, I live in Anderson. I wanted to ask you, are there any of your vendors that do give their receipt to the voter?
Other counties?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say it's about 50-50.
Well, so that is a local decision then, that you not give the voter their receipt?
Well, it depends on the process. For instance, your walk-in voting process with your voting system is different than it is in Delaware County. In Delaware County, they receive the receipt, the machine.
I went over there to their,
Yeah, I remember.
yes, I went over there. That was a
Public test
very,
day.
very impressive
Yeah.
public testing. That's why I came back here and wanted to know why we couldn't get our receipt.
Well, it's a different.
Is there
system.
something that prevents you from doing that, or is that?
I'll
Yes.
tell you right now.
In the walk-in voting process, it would be prevented in this county because the system prints on a label that is then adhered to your absentee envelope. Your walk-in process of voting in this county is different in that it's a paper-based system, so that paper ballot has to be stored and then scanned on election day. So that label stays with that ballot at that time. In Delaware County, it's different. Once they vote, it's directly recorded into the machine. So therefore, the label or the receipt can't go with the vote.
You're talking about just absentees in our early voting, not actual election day.
Election day is a board.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So election day, you should give out the receipts if you decide to. That's what he just said.
I just want to ask you, is that
Yeah.
what that entail, or?
Just handing them the
Just giving
receipt.
them
No,
that.
does it print out additional?
For all of the top
No, it would just be the original one.
aviators, you're here because you're the best. One of you is here because you want
There
to
are
sign
some counties
a
that
kids.
are on
I can't believe we land
the
on
same voting
boats. So
system that you're
freaking.
on, that don't even
Now,
print.
your training is going to involve
The header, like
experiencing
when I go
yourself
to
within the air.
Marion,
Here to talk about that
my
is
ballot
your
card that
civilian
is printed off
specialist
the
in tech.
printer,
Code name, John.
that is what I carry through the process. And when I leave, I have nothing.
No, I may be wrong, but I just think you.
You don't think the lady belongs in flight school, so to prove you wrong, I'm gonna say a lot of names of planes. A4, MiG-23.
I've seen all
So
of
the
them.
easy answer is everybody on the phone, just let them take a picture of the receipt and you guys can keep it and everybody's happy.
It's true. Well, you gave it the finger.
Well, I know they keep them and add them up,
Sky.
but you also got double counts on
You see
your,
the split.
where you can check them too. I know, but people want to, the reasons they're giving these other people that I know from other counties, those receipts, that's their receipt, because they have used these receipts in recounts where machines have broken down and they counts didn't come up.
Now, we haven't used that.
Not in Indiana, but they have in other states. They
That
have,
is my experience.
well, they have used them because I read about it. So that's why I was asking.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation.
You bet.
Can I make a quick comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack. I'm so sorry.
I'm so easy to miss.
No.
Devin Scroggins, voter registration board member and Democratic Party chairman. Just wanted to make a quick comment. So in voter registration, we obviously work closely with Microvote for elections and everything. So my experience, the customer service has always been phenomenal. I mean, I have the personal phone number of JMO and Mike and Benji and everyone. They've always gotten back to me really quick. So yeah, in terms of that, and also I've been impressed with the software on both the poll pads and then on the back end for us. It's very easy to understand. Yeah, I've just been impressed. So I want to make a quick comment about that.
Right. Back up here, we'll have the other one.
Last time I didn't know how to put this away. Got a little better at it. All right. Well, thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you. Oh. They keep them and tell you a party, but they keep them in separate envelopes. They like to count. See, this is the receipt. The machine prints out. Some of them give them their receipts. Some of them don't.
You take a minute break.
Well, I got a question. Oh, y'all going on break? Okay. I'll go ahead on break. What is that? What is? Well, I'm glad that they. What is that?
That's the bill that you're gonna pay as a taxpayer.
Well, we need update these machines. They have to be updated. Oh, okay, they gotta be updated.
Somebody said we just spent $800,000 2 years ago. I don't know the answer.
They gotta keep this stuff upgraded. I do know that.
Oh, so you haven't bought from this vendor, you're looking at it. Okay, you're getting quotes.
Oh, I knew that was too good to be
Do
true.
you know roughly how many vendors there are? Like roughly, like, is there like only 5 or is there hundreds of these people?
It's not, okay.
I think it's listed. It's listed on the state site. It'll list all the different vendors. It's more than 3, I think.
You're fine. I'll find a place.
So this would be a completely different vendor than what we use right now. The other guy is-
Well, I thought she was with the other. She looked familiar. Oh, she's from the state. Then you've been here before, haven't you? That's her talking, not me. Oh, microvolt.
So that one we don't use, we use this block. We use
A piece of one and a piece of the other. So what? They have their own all one system though, right?
I
you
do,
have
but I've
our,
been taking notes on it, so I'm not.
elections. I'll just take a picture of it.
Oh, okay.
But we don't have your poll book.
Right, the rest of it is.
Why come we don't have the
I've
poll
worked
book?
on it.
That's all right. I'll just take a picture.
It costs too much.
No, I just
Okay.
want to be able to run it.
And then
I
the
won't use
little
it.
things that sit at the desk, with the iPads. and stuff.
That's the poll
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Our equipment is the rest of it, so what you actually vote on, what actually tabulates and you scan the ballots into is the SNS, and then the software that all the reporting is done through is from the SNS.
But they got the whole system.
Yeah,
Why,
now.
why are we, they had it then.
They're bidding.
Right.
I know, but I'm saying, why are we
Yeah, I know.
using piecing stuff together? Why don't we use the whole
I'm
unit?
not speaking for Linda, but I think she's trying to be cost effective. That's why
Well, that might be why stuff broke down and
maybe, I don't know.
people
I think
question the election.
the decision was years ago, I believe. I wasn't a part of it back then with how the poll books were chosen, but that's why we're.
Well, I
here
think
now to
whatever
try to get it
system
all.
they choose, they need to stay with one system, not use that and then that. And I know they can be used together, but it's just like any other electronics. You want to stay with the whole system.
Right.
If you choose them, then use all their stuff. You choose the other people, then use all their stuff. That's just my opinion. But just taking this piece and then using the piece from the other folks,
So you want one unit.
yeah, made by the same company. Why would you piece something together? That might be why we had so many problems trying to piece shit together. Stuff, excuse my French. Oh, see, Teresa, you see that? Now, see, that box is not quite as fancy as the other one.
All right, well, we're gonna go back on the record here at the Madison County Election Board. We have another vendor who's going to make a presentation, and we are recording this, so you'll have to come to the podium and tell us your name, the company you represent, and then proceed from there.
Hello? Okay. My name is Drew Ryan, and I work for a company called ESNS, which stands for Election Systems and Software. You currently have our tabulation system right now with the ADA devices, which would be the DS200 and the Express Vote. So with those, with the software that you already have and the equipment that you already have, our poll book is a perfect complement to the rest of the system. And it's very much made to the rest of the system. And it's incredibly easy to use. It's incredibly robust. And, you know, if there's any problems, we can diagnose it from here or Omaha or wherever the problem may be. We will get on it ASAP if there's really any problem. But really with poll books, there's not very many problems. They just because there's not, you know, you can, the judge has only so many screens he can be on. Linda doesn't have to, like, you know, let him in the back of the guts where the SIM card is or anything like that. So it's very, I don't know how you could actually screw this up. So, but I should never say that though.
Be surprised.
You'd be very surprised from day to day what happens in
Oh,
elections.
gosh.
Let me take you through like a voting session, or let's say I'm an election judge and I'm starting the day. We'll start there and then take you through a voting session. I'll tell you kind of what we have or how we like to set our equipment up in a very, very certain way, which we do not use Bluetooth. We think Bluetooth is incredibly unreliable, especially when a lot of the schools or libraries or things like that, your signal can get caught or be shut down by a building that you're in. So that's the reason why we always like the hard connection, and it's just much more reliable because we did have wireless connection, but it would jump around to printers, and it's just, we felt it didn't work very well, and the way to do it was hard connection from the ExpressBook printer, to the poll book. And there's a USB-C slot on the right side where the printer is. So if you want a receipt printer or a label printer or something like that, there's two input outputs back here that you can configure your poll book like that any way you want, basically. So.
And that has no need for a converter or dongle or anything.
Thank
like
you.
that.
I always bring Becky along because she's a smart one. No, but some other companies may have to make changes, especially to a printer or the ExpressBook printer with like a dongle or whatever they're using. But it's just not the right process, in my opinion. But let me take you through the process.
Can you explain that
Yes.
to us just a little bit? So you refer to it as a dongle, you refer to it as a converter. So
Let's
what
go.
are we talking about with what we're used to using here in Madison County?
And if Becky's gonna make comments, please come over. Others so we can record.
Okay,
You want to take this one?
I'll introduce myself.
Yeah.
Real quick. I'm Becky Rauch, and I'm with the SNS also. I am the Indiana account manager, so I have been here before for the public test in the past. I think what Drew was saying is our poll book has 2 ports so that you can have a hardwired connection to your express printer, which is what puts the barcode on your ballots so that you can have the proper choices, your proper ballot style put onto your ballot for you. And then the other port is available for Madison County specifically does label printers for early voting. So now instead of, I believe other vendors may not have ports or they were Bluetooth. So that an additional adapter or connector was needed to be able to hardwire them together or have it seen by the Bluetooth printer. So ours are just already ready for those 2 ports for what Madison County uses right now. So for early voting, it has label printers. So that would just connect right into the poll book and the poll book would see it and print the label for the absentee voters. And then that port is also used then for election day where you have receipt printers. Now those receipt printers would just be hardwired connected to the poll books to print the receipts for the voters. So no additional equipment by a third-party source or another vendor is required in any way. All of our products are fully prepared to be integrated through the whole step of the process, from now poll book when you check in to getting your election results on election night.
Okay, may I step in?
Sure, you're gonna do a demonstration now of how this works?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So let's say it is early election morning. All the equipment's there. So we're gonna start up the poll book. First, it would come out in this case, which actually can hold 2 poll books if you want it, and also the power supply. We like this case just because it's compact. It's easy to put in. I don't know if it's bins or actually I don't. However, you take your equipment out to the
Right.
Yep, and then just throw this one on. So that's what we like about there. So then you take it out, you power it up. One of the first things you might do with the stand on the back here is just simply flip up. There's 2 little doors that slide out like this. And that gives you your stand. So after they take it out of the take it out of the case, they're going to put it on. They're also going to take out the ExpressBook printer. They will hook this up to the printer. I don't want to do that right now, just so I can show everyone what's going on. So we're going to launch this. And the passwords on here this poll book is very, let's say, malleable. You can change verbiage, you can change sunscreens. Sunscreens are the ones that you need that are hardwired in here, but for the most part, if you come with us,
It's configurable to an extent
Yes.
based on your needs.
yeah, exactly. So like, let's say right here, this is password. Okay. So I don't even think that first screen will be there. What would be here is this. This is their starting page.
Sign in.
Sign in. Yes, sir. Like, especially if there's polls or.
In Indiana, it has two, so you have each party have a login. The demo is only one right now, but it would be configured to have a Democratic login and a Republican.
We're primary.
Okay.
This is
Well,
the
for your-
beginning page.
For your workers, so that
Oh,
you're
That the
making
poll
sure that
workers
Oh,
will
I
nobody,
see?
what you're saying.
nobody
Okay,
can get
yes.
into the poll book alone.
They each have a separate password.
Yeah.
So you have the dual control when you open the poll pad. I understand.
So,
So nobody can open it alone.
Okay.
so these passwords are obviously configurable. So let's just say right now, I know this is P1.
Okay, all right.
And then the password is ESS1. So now I'm gonna sign in. And we're ready to roll. Let's go. Search for voter or scan the barcode of a license.
Right.
But, you know, that doesn't have to be there. If Linda doesn't want it, it could be just search voter or, you know, something of that nature. Would you like to see? Yeah.
All right.
You're good.
Oh, okay.
I love it. Thank you.
I'll show you some other stuff too. All right, so I'm gonna search for voter and take you through a voting session. Put the area back on there. So it starts with last name and it starts to self-populate. So let's say your name is geez. How about a last name? Someone give me a
Smith.
We always recommend the first three of last name, and then as you put in the first three of the first name, it'll really narrow down your choices. Because a lot of VR data is pulled from SVRS, so if I tell you Smith, but I have a hyphenated name, you might encounter problems. So it'll start bringing up your options with just a few letters.
I just put STA, and then that'll start. If you put more, you may have to put less, you may have to put more. Let's just say, okay, yeah, I'm Don. Okay, Don, you know, I don't know if you checked their credentials or whatever, but, go over that. Okay, Don, you're obviously a,
Certainly on the garden.
There's too many
Mm.
things. That's what that says on the list.
Oh.
So I'm gonna issue an assignment ballot. Then I'm gonna sign here. Well, first I'm gonna go like this. Okay, so.
So what part of this do we use in the last election? Just the poll book?
Yeah.
No, the printer.
So you had everything else
But
but that
that
device
poll
in
book.
between. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to have the printer on the table because that prints the ballot
Right.
barcodes to be able to go on to voting.
But it can be used with any other
it can be used with other vendors, but then there's other third-party things that you have to incorporate to make them work together.
Well, why would somebody break up the system?
I cannot vouch for that.
Money or?
I'm not sure. I think that decision was years ago, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so where does the license go? You come up, you have the license. You have the license.
So you got a hook on procedure.
And you can even have.
Yeah, where does the license go on that one?
You can just hold it in front of it and it scans it.
Oh,
There's no
okay.
tray or anything.
Oh,
It's just,
okay.
you can see the image in front of you.
Oh, okay.
So the poll worker
So
would
what you
scan it.
just, I'm sorry. So, you know, I guess I'm what I'm used to, the license there, and it pulls the person up right away.
Okay.
You're saying it doesn't, you have to post it the last minute?
No, that was for manual entry.
There's two different ways.
Okay.
You can proceed with only license scanning, or if a poll worker prefers, or
So just show these folks here.
Yes.
what you just showed us.
Do you want me to go back a little bit?
No, she just told us. You
If you
just,
have a driver's license to scan, what is it, why don't you do that? Can you scan a driver's license?
Wow.
That's what we had before.
Yeah, because
If
How do I
that's a-
explain this?
if that's a
90% of that.
If that's a-
somebody is scanning the driver's license.
yes, our demo is not going to find you, only because if we had live data of Indiana, then it would know your barcode is tied to your name. But for the demonstration purpose, it's not Indiana live data. So you can still show how it looks, but it's not going to find you, only because, unfortunately. But
What you're saying is it would access the database the same way as we currently have it, right? Because they just put that
Yeah.
license there, so the barcode is shown, boom, boom,
Yes.
the data comes right up.
and it pulls everything from SVRS, from however you have it in your VR system. And I would say the only reason I've ever seen it not work is if it's not really somebody that's registered.
Yeah.
Or, some kind of change or something missing in the BMV's database to VR. But otherwise, if they're a registered voter and they scan that barcode, it's gonna bring you straight to their entry rather than having to search it or find it or select it.
Do you want to see this demonstration? Okay, how about you? Rebecca?
I'm fine.
I just want to know about the passport and college IDs.
So those
did
you can't scan those, but it would be,
Can you come to the? Sorry, just want to make sure.
so it's only going to be able to scan driver's license barcodes, but if that's a valid form of ID that's acceptable, and they're providing that to the poll worker, then that's something the poll worker would be trained to know to accept it, but it doesn't have the capability to scan other types of barcodes. But I believe that that's the same across the board.
So is it a manual push?
So in that case, then the person comes in with an unscannable ID, then the manual
Yeah.
hunt for the person's name has to occur.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, since you don't really care about seeing, let me just show you for the express vote, which is your ADA device. It's also your voting device, for vote centers. I mean, you can use it for anything, early voting, cut down on ballot costs. I think these are about 15 cents because Indiana also needs a stamp on the back. But all you have to do is once you pick that voter, issue standard ballot. I'm just gonna sign right here, done signing, accept, express vote activation.
And then the rest of this process is still the same as what Madison County has had.
So this is a thermal piece of paper. So obviously you want to tells the blind people to go to insert this way, and it also shows it on the express vote too.
Another part too, I don't know if he said it out this way, but as you're going through the process, so if the poll worker is on this side, the voter is in line here. Once it comes to the proper screen, the poll book is designed to flip towards the voter. So then that changes the orientation of the screen so that the voter can now read the signature box, and that's where they are signing to confirm that they are the right person. And then once it's completed, it just flips right back over to the poll workers to then proceed through the process. So
That
that-
the orientation changes automatically
Yeah.
again.
yeah, it
You
flips
do have to press that little circle button.
from the beginning, from the poll worker side. So
Yeah.
when you're ready to let the voter proceed,
Okay.
and then it reorients. But I'm not sure if you're swiveled before or anything like that.
It's swiveled, so no, they weren't used to
So no-
flip at all.
So no swiveling.
Right.
You just-
Right, yeah, it just
Yep.
flips back and forth.
Absolutely. So that was the voting process. So I have my ballot, and I'm just gonna complete the check-in, and it takes me right back, search for voter, scan barcode.
You're ready for the next vote.
You're ready for the next voter.
And then there's a total on the top that shows you where you're at, so if you wanna balance throughout the day, it shows you right on the top of the screen at all times to kind of keep track of it.
There are so many views for Linda's office, like, how many ballots, like, if they wanna chat with them. Actually, that's on the first page where you can chat with, home base per se, or the election central. And you can,
You can access reports too, if you needed to see a voter list for some reason, or you needed to get some type of status accounting report. Those are available on the poll book for the poll workers to view if needed, or it's within the system, which I was gonna show next to of just a couple features in addition.
Do you have a question? I do. Mr. Lanham always wants me to come to the podium.
oh,
Mhm.
understood.
Do we have that little receipt, Catherine Callahan?
Oh,
You know, what he was showing on the other machine? Do we have it?
Yeah, we don't have, I don't think they brought the receipt printer, but you
This-
said there is an option to plug in, which we already have those in stock.
Yeah, it would be the same printers that they already have that will just work.
So will this save us money if you have those receipt things in place? Some people who are watching are worried that some of your poll workers, that this thing might break because of all the back and forth, where the other machine is more stable, is what they were saying on the video. I don't know, but those are your poll workers that
I
are,
feel like it's pretty durable, but you tell me also,
And
Becky.
you can touch the poll book if you want to see the durability of the stand.
Linda doesn't let me work a poll.
Is that receipt printer they have, is that
No,
ESNS?
I'm just saying what they were
One they
saying
already have.
over there, and then if we had the
It's one-
receipts, and then what the
Is
price
that
difference
one
was
of your
between the two.
companies?
It's an outside company that is a certified printer with the product. So it's an Epson printer or a Star printer.
But it's
that's
not the
certified.
one that comes with this.
It's
It's
one
certified.
that is certified
Workable.
with the product. So we don't manufacture it.
Oh, okay, that's what I
But-
wanted to know.
We would provide it, but we don't need to provide it because they already have it.
To keep
So
the
it
costs
will
down.
work with our product.
We
But
just want
as far as the
honest and
stand
fair
goes,
elections.
I have not personally.
Sometimes you pay for, you get what you pay for, so.
Well, we have, unlike other companies, we are about 40, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Becky. ESNS has about 450 to 500 employees, wherever. And I'm not saying bigger is better, but we have resources. We have many ways that we can help you with just with the power that we carry, with also to the products that we actually manufacture ourselves. We build ourselves. The software we build. We don't farm out anything. So you're truly buying a system that is
from the very front to the very back, and it all works together, is the point I was trying to make.
So the other thing that we have experienced, with the setup that we have now, with it being two different vendors, we get, an ESNS person to come and work with us for our election times. It's built into our contract. As it stands right now, we have ESNS that sends us a person, and then we have, for the poll pads, we don't have anybody. We have phone calls that we can make, but not, and the person that they have can come, but with our person that we have from ESNS, they will be trained on how to work the poll pad and how to work the tabulator and how to work the, express vote, correct?
Yes.
Which makes a difference when you have a hands-on person, and you guys are always, you always send someone to our training. So we would have somebody there to actually train our people. Okay. And I can tell that the software package that you have on the poll pad is very similar to what we've seen before. There's only so much it can do. Right? So.
In all honesty, most of them do, I mean, for 90% of the day, they kind of all do the same thing.
Right.
Look up a
Yeah,
voter,
they would have
get a ballot, yeah.
Correct.
And now you would be supported on all aspects of your
Exactly.
election equipment by our people.
Mhm. And by the representative that comes here.
Right.
So that was the little bit of issue that we had before. Because Sue, you remember our person from ESNS, she wasn't the person necessarily that could always work on the poll pad. It wasn't her equipment.
Right.
So, okay.
And now
That
it
makes
would
sense.
all be, basically, you would have the same level of support from us, just supporting an additional product with the knowledge and the experience.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
No, sir,
Any other questions?
unless you have something for me.
I was gonna show our Connect software real quick. So with that, I think
You want to see this?
you kind of had
Yes.
something similar, but
It's equal.
it's just now the clerk's office or whoever has access can log online to this system, and all it's gonna show you is, let's say you have 10 vote centers, you can view if the poll book is charging, you can view if the poll book is connected, if they have opened their polls. So I think it's similar to what you had. You can generate reports from this system.
Mhm.
It's just a different name now with a different product, but it's available with that now too, so that you can still monitor or create reports or see your voting numbers throughout the day, the turnouts.
Is that part of your quote?
Yeah, that's all included in the,
It's all included. There's nothing missing that I'm gonna come back and say, hey, I forgot.
Which is a wonderful feature, because we're actually able to see from, our office in the courthouse on election day, and even throughout the satellite voting and in person, we can see from our desktop when we log in to what, right now we have ePulse, and then this is called Connect.
yeah.
And we can see if, a poll pad in an area is running low on battery and they need to plug it in. We can see that. We can see in the morning, on election morning, who hasn't come up yet. And, you know, because we want everybody to be ready to open their poll at 6 o'clock. And so we can tell, okay, somebody needs to get on the phone with that inspector because we don't see that they are up and running yet. So we've been able to send out a technician if that's necessary, or to have walked through with them to make sure that they're ready to go at 6 o'clock.
I wanted to add one thing too that we talked a little bit about, but this has the ability to send out notifications to the poll books as well. So I don't know if your past thing had that availability, but it's a newer addition. But if you want to send out a reminder in the morning, hey, make sure that you turn this on, or you make sure you're getting this ready, it can be a push to all poll books where it's going to prompt up on the screen to where the poll worker has to acknowledge it. It doesn't just go away. Or you can send messages to and from that are more of just a side little notification that when they're able to, they could say, hey, we need some more pens or whatever. So there's both of those abilities with the system as well.
So the only other thing that I would ask is that, the quote that we received from ESNS, it has the poll pads here. I can barely
$93,285.
For how many?
For the 76 poll pads that we had requested. That is the plug from from
Yep.
ESNS that we received. And then your, software maintenance is 17,000, correct?
17,400.
If that's on the poll, yes.
Yes, okay. And so, this quote is guaranteed for how long? What's the length of time?
Is 2 months okay?
2 months?
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I hope you have a good day. Thank you.
What time you want to leave?
Like, as soon as you're ready.
All right, thank you very much. I think that leads us to our final item.
Okay, bye.
For
Shalom.
the CED chairman. Serve on the SBA.
I would like to make a motion that Michelle Daniels be our CEB chairman.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor of the motion, signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, those same sign. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hey, can y'all take another question?
So you have.
You got another podium.
I'm going to the podium, Rebecca Crooms. Once you decide what vendor or what you're going to buy, you have to get this approved by the commissioners, or you already got the money?
We have, this is a HAVA grant that
Oh,
we
okay.
applied for, and we were awarded. And it's very specific. I was gonna wait until the vendors leave, and I'll go through that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So they don't have to ask the commissioners nothing. So, I'll watch your step. So they. Okay.
Careful.
Okay, they should be wrapping up.
Madam Chair, I jumped the gun a little bit. I think Linda had one more comment. You're still chair, right? She had another comment.
Yeah, I believe, I think that we should be prepared to take a vote. If you would rather table it, then we can schedule a special meeting for that. It's up to you. But just so you know, the grant itself, we were approved specifically for certain amounts. And so, the grant was for $187,861. It was broken into 3 groups. That's how I was able to submit it. I can find that for you. Rebecca, just for
Yeah.
just to touch on what you said, we took it before the
Got this though.
Okay, is the fan working good?
Yeah.
And now the election board should vote on
Ready to work?
which vendor to use.
kind of
And
excited
then we will,
I remember, I
I think
had a
it's,
hard day trying to record the lecture.
whenever the next council meeting is, I've already requested that we be on the agenda
Oh,
so that the grant has been assigned.
so I have watched this video,
And then we will have the money.
but now I can tell you. Okay, now, where did the grant come from?
It's a federal
The
grant.
HAVA grant.
That means you
helped
gotta obey
protect the
federal
roads
rules.
from the
So
state.
now,
Oh, the
motherfuckers,
state.
Actually a
well, federal
free
shit.
grant that-
So now I'm telling on all of you, y'all suck. You stole my fucking vote.
And then
I
we
went
made
off
a
today. I used ChatGPT to go off on everybody today.
Um,
I sent messages. You should read them. It was great.
What is ChatGPT?
Did you want to, do you have a question?
AI types it?
Yeah. So,
Well, a couple of things.
Everybody use it?
We
yeah.
have no ink.
You have to download the app.
And that was
Okay.
put into
Um,
place with the previous
anybody can use it.
administration.
Oh.
And so now, and I don't know, I think that, and I'm not gonna speculate because I don't know. Okay, so my experience with having the two different vendors for the coal pad and then for the tabulation.
I'm writing this letter not only as a concerned voter in Madison County, but as someone who believes deeply in the principles of democracy, transparency, and accountability. Unfortunately, recent actions by Madison County Election Board, and particularly its new leadership, have caused me to question whether those principles are still being upheld in our community. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we did.
On May 15th, 2025, Madison County Election Board voted on a new complaint process without offering the public an opportunity to speak. I was never sent an official invitation to this meeting and only learned of it by accident. This is not how representative government is supposed to function. When the public is excluded from critical decisions about how elections are run and how complaints are handled, it erodes the very foundation of our electoral system. I personally reached out to board member Michelle Daniels, the newest addition to the election board, asking that she not contact me until a public hearing was scheduled. She disregarded that request and called me anyway. Her After she called, I sent her a text message that said, "Do not call me."
Okay, well, that's not what that says, what I just heard.
It's just how they.
That's not accurate. Okay.
I personally reached out to her. I did tell her that.
Okay, go ahead. After the phone call.
After the phone call. So I personally, I went.
Right, but it sounds like.
I initiated it. I know.
Either read it again or skip it.
It's too late.
Okay, skip it.
The
newest addition to the election board asking that she not contact me until a public hearing was scheduled. She disregarded that request and called me anyway. Her response was that she wanted to hear from me, but when the time came for public to be heard, she and the board denied us the opportunity. Respectfully, I question whether someone who cannot follow a simple voter request or manage basic communication is prepared to make complex legal decisions on behalf of Madison County voters.
She's not a lawyer.
Okay, well, they're putting her in that position.
Not a lawyer.
So that's Aaron. They are the judge. That's who they put as the fucking judge. On behalf, okay, so no. And this board has acted with troubling haste and opacity. There is still no clear legal and accessible complaint process in place for reporting election violations in Madison County. How can Indiana claim to conduct fair elections when voters have no meaningful way to report wrongdoing? Even more troubling, I have encountered complete confusion around who has jurisdiction over this board. The state of Indiana says it does not. So who does? Who is responsible for ensuring the board operates legally and ethically? Recently, serious concerns have been raised about election misconduct involving individuals such as Russ Willis. Rather than investigate, the board has decided these matters are moot. That is an insult to every voter who expects integrity from our electoral system. This isn't just incompetence, it's negligence, and it should alarm every taxpayer in this county. The Madison County Election Board operates with authority of a judge, but without the legal training, judicial oversight, or accountability that comes with it, that is unacceptable. The public deserves more than credentials and claims of experience. We deserve competence, transparency, and leaders who understand they work for us.
Yes, yes. All right.
I'm calling for a public hearing regarding the complaint process, a formal investigation into the handling of election complaints, and clarification from the state of Indiana regarding who oversees county election boards, the establishment of a public legal complaint process for reporting election violations.
If we cannot ensure the fairness and legality of our elections at the local level, then we have failed as a democracy. I will not stay silent while the board disregards public input, fails to follow the law, and ignores credible allegations of election fraud. I urge other citizens to speak up, ask hard questions, and demand accountability.
Yeah.
Now, that was one of them. That was an open letter.
Are we going?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to get dressed. Here's the other ones are kind of shorter, but still on point. This one says, to whom it may concern. My name is Nicole, and I'm a concerned voter and resident of Madison County, Indiana. I am reaching out because I believe the Madison County Election Board is operating in violation of state transparency laws and is actively undermining the public's rights to fair and open elections. On May 15, 2025, the board passed a new election complaint process without allowing any public comment and without notifying interested residents, including myself, of the meeting. I was never invited or given notice and only found out by accident. I had explicitly requested a public hearing on this matter, but was ignored. When I asked not to be contacted until that hearing occurred, board member Michelle Daniels called me anyway, disregarding my request. This rushed and opaque process is not only undemocratic, it may
Send this to?
the fucking election board, the state.
But that part's not accurate.
Look,
She's gonna see that, read it, and say that's not true.
she accidentally called me.
Right.
I'm not
But
making
you
her
didn't
look
tell
like
her-
an idiot yet.
You said that she called you anyways after you told her to cease and desist, and that's not
Right.
what happened.
Yes, it is.
You told her to cease contact with you after she called you.
Right, so don't fucking call me back. That's cease and desist. And then she
When
called
did she
me.
call you back?
And then you got the phone call.
Oh, so you're counting that when she called back for that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then go ahead.
I told her in
Okay.
a text message, do
Sorry.
not return this
No,
call.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you now. Okay.
If you can't understand.
I'm with you now. Thank you.
This rushed, opaque process is not only undemocratic, it may also violate Indiana's open door law. The board continues to operate without transparency, has no accessible process for filing election complaints, and has recently dismissed concerns about election misconduct, including those involving Russ Willis, as moot, without explanation or public review. I filed a formal complaint with the IPAC and am now asking who is holding the board accountable. Why don't Madison County voters have functioning legal complaint process? How can we claim to have fair elections when voters are denied basic transparency? I believe there is a larger story here involving potential violations of election law, a failure of public accountability, and growing voter distrust. This goes beyond local procedure. It's about public confidence in democracy at the local level. I am willing to speak on the record and provide documentation, text, and details of my communication with the board. Please let me know if this is something your team would consider covering or investigating further. Madison County voters deserve answers and a voice. Thank you. The next one I called voter alleges Madison County Election Board violated transparency laws, denied public input on election complaint policy. Madison County voter is speaking out against what they call a serious breach of public trust and transparency. Crap.
You wrote this?
No, it's all AI. Yeah.
I have no idea what my clothes are.
So the voter, Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski, alleges the board rushed a key vote on May 15, 2025 to implement a new election complaint process without allowing public comment or properly notifying residents of the meeting. I was never informed of the meeting and found out about it by accident. Despite my request for public hearing and a direct message to board member Michelle Daniels not to contact me until the hearing occurred, she called me anyway. Then the board finalized a vote that affects every voter in the county without hearing from any of us. The voter has filed a formal complaint with the Indiana Election Public Access Counselor citing possible violations of Indiana's open door law, which requires that governing bodies provide proper notice and allow the public to observe and participate in meetings involving public business. Key concerns raised: no clear legal or public facing complaint process exists for voters to report election misconduct in Madison County. The election board has dismissed serious concerns about election law violations, including those involving local figure Russ Willis, calling them moot. There is no clear state oversight of county election boards, leaving voters without a channel for accountability. The new board leadership, particularly Michelle Daniels, is accused of dismissing public requests, failing to follow due process, and making legally significant decisions without transparency. This is about more than one meeting. It's about whether we can trust that our elections are being run legally and fairly. I fucking forgot to put my name in there. Okay. If voters
You already
can't
sent this
speak,
out?
I can't remember if I did or
fuck,
not.
Nikki.
I don't care. It's fucking funny. Can't file complaints and can't get answers. And what kind of democracy do we really have in Madison County? The voter is calling for public hearing on the new complaint process and investigation, and then clarification from state officials on who has jurisdiction and oversight over county election boards, the establishment of a transparent legal complaint system for reporting election-related misconduct. Background: Indiana open door law requires public agencies to conduct business in a manner that is open to public, including advance meeting notices and access to comment. The Madison County Election Board holds authority equivalent to a judge in election matters, but without equivalent legal training, judicial oversight, and accountability. Critics argue media inquiries and interviews are welcome. Supporting documentation is available upon request.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. It's kind of piss them off.
I don't have any gloves, Nikki.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Oh, buy me a t-shirt. Guess I wear the same fucking shirt I wore last night.
Oh, shit.
Close that.